Well, my early years were happy. Dad was a good farmer and he made good money, so everything was fine. Well, as a youngster, of course, we had no running water. You had to go to a toilet outside and freeze. And no running water, no television. I think we got into our first television about, I'm guessing now, I think maybe about 1958 or something like that, black and white. Yeah, and of course our telephones, we had those telephones over on the wall about that high and that wide, and you're on a party line, you know. We were about 8 or 9 people on the party line, and there was always these 2 women who talk. And if you say, "Excuse me, could I use the phone?" they get mad at you. Yeah, you're interfering in their talk. So it was a problem thing. Yeah, about 7 or 8 people on the line. I spent my teen years on the farm. And so I started farming on my own. I was 16 and a half years old. And so I didn't have much time for hockey, for example. We had a community hall in St. Albert. We'd go to the dances and we'd jump in somebody's car or truck and drive out in the bushes somewhere and have 2 or 3 drinks out there, because you couldn't drink in the hall. I went to high school in Edmonton. It was called Collège Saint-Jean, St. John's College. I passed my grade 9 and grade 10 there, and now I'm back home thinking about farming. We were only 2, my brother and I. And my brother Al suffered from asthma, and so he couldn't farm. People asked me, shouldn't everybody love farming? It's a good place to raise a family. But it's a hell of an occupation. Your life depends on the weather, for goodness sakes. What the hell is that? I always said, not one of my children is going to end up on a farm. And I made sure that I sent them to university. So I said, they're looking for an ice maker in St. Albert, and I'm going to apply. And they were happy to have me. They all knew me, of course, through curling. And yes, I made pretty good ice. We were strictly grain farming. Oh, we had a cow and a few hogs for our own milk. Oats, wheat, barley. And then came canola. I met her when we were both about 16 years old, somewhere in there, at a CYO function. CYO meaning Catholic Youth Organization. We met, fell in love, and a few years later we married, and now we're on the farm together. She could drive a truck like you wouldn't believe. So the hired men would come and now I'd ask them to drive the truck, and they were grinding gears, and it was the old crash box transmissions, and they were grinding gears, and I'd say, listen, watch my wife. And she shifted nice and clear. They were so embarrassed. In the farming community, most people are really good people. I don't know why that works out that way. But yes, I have never known a farmer that I say, that guy is a real bastard. It just never happened. God blessed me with 4 bright kids. My Lori handed down their intelligence. I was never very bright, I don't think. I said, listen, Lori, somebody has to teach these kids. You're the one. You make all the rules, and if you need help, you just come to me and I'll back you all the way. She showed them the difference between bad and good, taught them to be good and honest, hardworking people. Church, I think, is so important. I still think it was such a big part in raising a family and teaching them the difference between bad and good. Christmas was such a big deal for the kids and for me and Laurie. Well, we always had a big tree, of course, great big tree. I can remember walking in the bush and cutting a tree down and dragging it home. Didn't have any money, so didn't want to spend 20 bucks on a tree. But we found enough money to give the kids lots of nice toys, you know. In fact, they were kind of spoiled. All the family gathered for Easter. I remember hiding Easter eggs out on the lawn on a good spring. You'd hide about 15 or 20 of these Easter eggs, and the kids had fun seeing how many they could find, you know. Easter was always important. It was a very big Catholic celebration, Easter was. It was, I think, as important as Christmas. We were married for about, I think, 37 years. Yeah. Well, but the big thing is not the length of it. It was all the love in those 37 years. Curling was my true love in sports. I loved baseball, bowling, billiards. I love sports, but curling was my thing. I just loved it. And I'll tell you how I got started. It was at a Villeneuve picnic. And I was on the baseball team. After the game was over, which we lost, Hector Gervais, the curler, came to me. Ray, he said, there's a new sport coming into St. Albert. Have you heard about it? I says, yeah, something called curling. I put four little farm boys together when I had my own team. Hector had his own team. Because I was kind of a natural at curling, it came to me so easy. And Hector was even better. He became world champion after all. Because we turned out to be such good friends, Hector and I. We were good friends for almost 50 years. Curling was such an important part of my life. I think the big thing for me was learning how to take a win and not boast about it, and how to take a loss and not moan about it. Floor curling was a big thing. It's even now, it's going quite strong in Alberta. In fact, I became Alberta champion in floor curling. That was rather nice. Yeah, I was a good singer. The best in Villeneuve, but there weren't many singers, so it was easy to be the best, you know. I sang there in the choir, and we were known to have the best choir for 50 miles around. And so I was the lead singer for I think 20 or 25 years, you know. I loved playing poker. I never became a big wheeler, you know. Knowing people, getting along with folks. And that's the part I like most, I think, about poker, is meeting new people all the time. A few bad ones, but mostly we're good, you know. One day I'm walking around, I'm visiting with my aunt in Mornville, and Lorette comes walking with her dog. So my Aunt Clara said, she introduced me to Lorette, and I thought Lorette was a really nice person, and I asked her for a little bit of a date, and she was glad that I'd be interested, I guess. So we started going out. That was more than 15 years ago. Oh yeah, 20 years ago. And we get along just fine. We help each other out. She's a very fine lady. And it makes life rather nice for me now. You have to teach your kids about honesty, of course. That's so important. Teach them honesty. And teach them to respect their elders, their parents. Respect is so important. Without it, you've got a terrible scene. You have to have respect and love for your parents. And I had lots of that. But love is the big thing, you know, the big thing. You have to show love. You have to show it, and you have to act it. do it. And just be a loving person. You look back and say, by golly, I've had a good life.